as I normally do, fellow trustees can take turn if they want to. We have a reflection or a moment of silence, but I ran across something in a publication I get to a bottom line, and it's kind of like snippets of articles from various articles. And this is called Spending Time. I thought it would be appropriate to share with you, so apologize for reading. And if you want a copy, I'll share a copy. Carol Mayhill tells a story of a little boy who went into a fishing equipment store to buy 25 cents worth of worms. He asked the storekeeper, "Mister, how many worms do I get for a quarter?" The man replied, "Son, don't worry. I'll be right by you. Life's too short to be counting worms." Yes, he's right. Life is short. Learn to save time and the disease may suffer from. That being time, meaning, efficiencies, or the woman's danger need, a sense of fulfillment, happiness, and peace. So I just thought I'd share that with you in a moment of reflection. So at this time, I'd like to call the meeting order, but before we do it, I have an interesting announcement to make with you. You might have seen on the news on the radio, our meetings are now going to be streamed and videotaped for informational purposes only. So in the future, if you're not able to attend, you can find us online, live, in real time. So having said, I'd like to call the meeting to order.
You can do the pledge first.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Mrs. Devitt. Here. Mr. Ferrera.
Here.
Mr. Sutton.
Here.
I would like to ask the trustees to table the minutes of the meetings held in January. Actually, I'd like to ask you to table the next 1, 2, 3 items, because I have not had time to do that.
I make a motion to table the minutes for the meetings held in January.
One second. Roll call, Mr. Suttles.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera.
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt. Yes. And put out the bills.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay, or to table paying the bills for the month of January.
I'll second.
Okay. And roll call, Mr. Ferrera.
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt.
Yes.
Mr. Suttles.
Yes.
And to accept the financial statements.
To accept or to table?
To table.
I make a motion to table the financial statements. Second.
Second. And roll call, Mrs. Devitt. Yes. Mr. Suttles.
Yes.
And Mr. Ferrera.
Yes.
Communications, there seems to be nothing on the board, so that's it.
I have a letter already later down from the baseball I just received today. That's what it's
Before I read this next time, I'd like to thank Dan and Shannon for their leadership in setting us up with the technology to be able to stream these. And if you're not able to join us in person, you can do it from your home, your laptop, or iPad. So thank you, Dan and Shannon, both. I know this is something that's taken a little bit of time to put together, but we're now hopefully in a good position. So thank you both for doing that. Public comment at this time for the agenda items only. Again, only agenda items at this time. We'll have additional comments at the end of the meeting. Are there any comments at this time? Yes, would you please share your name?
Tim Radacci. I'm looking at this new consulting firm you guys are coming up with. You know, years ago, we had some kind of, years ago, 5-year program for $30,000. Have we got an investment back on that? Years ago, trustees were in.
Yeah.
You talking about the comprehensive plan?
Whatever you guys did 5 or many years ago.
Yeah, I'm not in a position to talk about. I wasn't here at that time.
I just want to know if that's going to happen with this or not.
as far as a comprehensive plan, some of the things that, that was prior, and also some of the things that
Yeah, private trustees, yeah,
we've addressed, but
right,
as a rule, that comprehensive plan was introduced and the company came in because it's kind of a precursor to before they put zoning on the ballot, they needed a comprehensive plan. But as far as whether we have done, there's some of the things in there, have you read it, it's, there's a lot of monies that come doing with some of the things. I'll give you an example. One of the things they wanted is to create a bikeway, to have a bike path that goes over New 82 on Route 7. That sounds good on paper, but
right.
that probably is not gonna happen in the lifetime of us.
Right.
But so it was far reaching, and there was some little things on there that we did do, and some of it was I think electronic sign, getting a better way to communicate with the public. I think that may be part of the comprehensive plan, but on maybe Trustee Devitt wants the comments on the consulting company.
So what we're planning on doing is, I did give the, Baza Consulting, he has our comprehensive plan. So within that, there's some ideas that we're gonna take from it and hopefully try to go after some grants. This is gonna be different than the concept of the comprehensive plan. This is purely going after grant writing opportunities, PR, economic development, and hopefully trying to get some people moving here and get some things happening around the township. So just a different approach. The school utilizes them right now, and we're kind of piggybacking off, hopefully piggybacking off what they have done.
Can you get grants to get money, extra money to get safety personnel up to par?
If there is grant, if there are grants available that would hit our safety services, yeah, he'll do that for us. But my goal was just to kind of do township related stuff down the park, maybe sidewalks. But yes, he is aware of. We met in the very beginning in August with our fire police, Eden Road, and we sat down and talked about ideas that could come to fruition.
Yeah, we may have some additional discussion when we get down to it, but I think it's a very good investment in our community. We had a meeting with the school personnel, VASA, Shannon said, trustees and department heads, and for what they've done for the school is amazing. I can't tell you the penny, but I can tell you it's well over $1 million over $2 million in different programs that they brought in. So I think this is a case, a situation where it's an investment in our community. Nothing venture, nothing gain. And, no one likes to spend money, but I see this as an investment. What's nice about it, if they're not productive or if they're not working with us, then we end the contract. So I think this is, no one likes to spend money, but this is an investment. So thank you. It's a very good question. I appreciate you asking.
Tim, when we get down to there, I have several questions that I'd like answered, so
Yeah,
there'll be
just,
discussion on it.
Basically, we want to get our safety forces up the park, get Station 51 back up at least 20 out of 30 days.
I agree.
That's important because seconds means it can mean a life or death.
All right. Any additional questions on the agenda items of council?
She got one.
Would you share your name with us, please? So we know?
Dorothy, yes. Can I talk about the van now, or do I have to wait till later? I see van report is on here, but
Since you brought it up,
comments,
I'll let
okay.
you speak to it.
Thank you. Since I think I'm the only person driving the van, which, yeah, I know, you announce it at every meeting and,
Thank you.
and I only drive the van Tuesdays and Thursdays because I watch my grandson Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And there's really not a whole lot of people, regular people that ride the van now. I mean, I have 3, but there's others. My issue is that there's nobody to back me up. And the reason I came in here late today is because I watched my grandson today. Tomorrow, I'm driving the van. My son called me and said, hey, are you on the van schedule tomorrow because their regular babysitter is sick? And I had to tell him, sorry, I gotta drive the van. So my son has to take a day off work. I can't spend a day with my grandson. And it's been a year now that this has been going on. And so I just wanted, I looked at the clock and I said, ooh, 1:45, I'm gonna go up and complain. So here I am, begging, please. I just need I'm still gonna do my Tuesday, Thursday. but unfortunately, if somebody calls in for that van on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I don't know what they tell them, but, I don't think there's anybody driving the van on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can't because I babysit. So I'm just begging again. I don't know if there's a solution to this, but it breaks my heart to have to tell my son, sorry, I gotta drive the van. And it's a lady that's going to the doctor, so I can't just call her and say, hey, sorry, I can't take you to the grocery store tomorrow. She has to go to the doctor. So that's
a typical run to grocery store, doctor.
it, grocery stores and doctors. And I mean, I have more this month than I usually do. I mean, I have one lady riding every Thursday, this Thursday, next Thursday, and the following Thursday. I have a lady riding tomorrow and riding next Tuesday. But yeah, that's the regular.
Well, since we're on, being on the internet, maybe, people hear this, and with our media sources, with News on the Green and the Tribune, maybe they could help us expand the word. I mean, you're right, it's very frustrating that,
Yeah, because
thank you for
everybody
what
that
you're
comes
doing.
to this regular hears it every month, and I mean, they have lives, and, I thought I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, I'm not saying I don't
Just
want to
need
do
help.
it anymore.
Need help.
It's getting frustrating because, and that's really why, because if anybody's a grandparent in here, yeah,
But maybe
So-
we can have Tabitha put on our sign too for some volunteers, and so we can do additions.
something,
How long have you been driving, man?
almost 2 years now,
Oh, God bless you.
so.
Thank you for your
You're
service.
welcome, and I mean, I enjoy the people. Unfortunately, some have passed, some have moved away, we're really down. And I know back in the day when it was a full van, Monday through Friday, they had a different driver every day. So you knew your day, and whereas me, and even in the summertime, because my daughter-in-law teaches school. So in the summertime, a couple months, I don't have to, I mean, I'd love to babysit my
Yeah,
grandson,
cool.
but I'm off, so I tell Tabitha, I say, hey, if you get a call, somebody needs to go somewhere on Monday, I mean, I'm as flexible as I can be,
So
but,
how were you recruited?
the News on the Green.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks a lot, Joe.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe get us another article.
I saw it, and he puts it in there every month.
every week.
I saw it and I thought, well, that can't be too hard. I mean, I'm not working, and, I did this before I realized I was gonna be a grandmother. So I probably drove 4, 5 months before I, said, okay, now I can only do Tuesday, Thursday. So,
Thank you for what you do, and
yeah.
for ideas.
And thanks.
All right,
We're
we'll
gonna
move
talk about
on
that later.
to
Okay.
the police report. Chief Austin.
Thank you. For the month of January, your officers responded to 619 calls, resulting in 102 reports. Of those, 13 were crash reports, 89 were incident reports. We had 41 arrests for the month, 2 of those being drug related. 1 person arrested in regards to theft, break-in, and burglary. 4 assault, domestic violence, or protection order arrests were made. And 3 people were arrested either for resisting arrest, fleeing, or obstructing. 5 more arrests were made. Officers issued 38 traffic citations. Of those, 6 were for driving on a suspended or without a driver's license. Officers issued 9 equipment offense citations, 11 miscellaneous moving citations, 3 OVI or DUI citations, and 10 speed citations were issued. We had 6 reports of burglaries or break-ins, 13 responses to assault or domestic disturbances, 6 criminal trespasses were reported, as well as 9 vandalism or criminal damages. We had 17 thefts reported, 3 identity thefts, 6 incidents of threats, menacing, and telephone harassment reported, as well as 2 overdoses. Your officers responded to 8 calls for disturbance and/or fight, investigated 10 incidents of suspicious activity, 2 suspicious persons, and 21 suspicious vehicles. Officers responded to 63 service calls,
and respond to 9 traffic and/or parking complaints and assisted 19 disabled motorists. Officers responded to 17 animal complaints and 26 alarm drops. And your officers patrolled 11,970 miles using 792.3 gallons of fuel. There were 9 hours of reimbursed overtime in January, 34 hours of regular overtime for a total of 43 hours. That's all in the report. Unless you have any questions.
Any questions, trustees? Nope.
And item 1 on there was updated the tow policy and the fees. That was presented last year. We had a modification and discussed that at the trustee meeting. I reprinted the one I gave you, even though there's no change, added in the appeal suspension and removal on that. I don't know when we put that in place 10 years ago, and the board member here was there for that. No changes to that. So I gave you the resolution or the copies.
Right, I saw it, and
If you wanted to add on that tonight.
I guess, Dan and Shannon, do you have any questions pertaining to what he provided us?
No, I read it over. I appreciate the information that's on.
Thank you.
So you want to add that as a motion would be, we have, so. Okay, when you want to make the
So
motion?
is it just the top part? Yeah,
Yeah.
just this?
Uh-huh.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the new standards to take in effect March 1st, 2024, which will permit time to meet with the companies that have the changes. The resolution will also include the update to admin fees. So there would be for the tow rates from $45 to $49.50, and that would be again effective March 1st, 2024.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes, second.
Any discussion? I just have one question, Dan.
Yes.
How many providers were there? 2 or 3? I think that.
Currently there's 2. There was another one that contacted me, told me just wait till we get this done.
So I know it's not very long. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Roll call, Mr. Suddles,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera,
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt,
Yes.
I had put on there just a general information update. The carport that was worked on last year, they came in the 2 coldest days of winter so far, President's Day and the day after, and built the carport. So they put it up in 2 days. So we actually, the senior van is underneath there, so you don't have to keep as well as some other equipment. So that project's completed, and then I emailed out today request for quotes for electrical and lighting.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very nice investment with our ARPA funds. Thank you. Fire report. Chief Mercedes.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrera. For the month of January, we ran a total of 216 emergency calls. Of those, 170 were emergency medical, 9 structure fires, 12 motor vehicle crashes, 2 miscellaneous fires, 9 service calls, 9 reports of wires or trees down, 5 fire alarm investigations. We mutual aid into the township 19 times and we went out of the township 22 times, totaling 216. We used a total of, 586.3 gallons of fuel. And we were the recipients. I told you at the department head meeting that we did not receive the Marks grant. They did a second round. They had enough money to do the second round with departments that had canceled out of their award. So we were awarded in the second round $7,650. That'll go for the purchase of lapel mics to outfit our current portable radios. We also received the Department of Natural Resources Division of Forestry VFA or Volunteer Firefighters Assistant Grant, totaling $11,700 after a 50% match locally, and that'll go for the purchase of dual certified wildland gear. Station 51 was closed 39 out of a possible 62 shifts. I do have an application that I'll get to in just a moment, and I have nothing under apparatus or equipment. That's all for my report.
Any questions? Go ahead.
No,
I have one. Since it's gonna be, I think, pertinent to, the VASA later on, you mentioned the grants here. Can you talk about the grant writer that you have and how that person or that company provides services and what the fees are, just for, informational purposes?
Well, these two grants were done in-house
Okay.
by Captain Crisano and myself. So we did not use a grant writer for these.
Okay.
However, for the federal grants, we use a grant writer who charges a writing fee, and then if we are awarded, there's a certain percentage written in the contract that we give to them.
Do you know, on average, what we pay a year for that grant writer?
$1,400.
Is that an average or just one year? Sorry.
Last year, I asked him, was it 1,400 or the year before was like?
Yeah, I believe it depends if we do a rewrite. Like this year, we'll be rewriting for the apparatus, so it'll be cheaper than it was last year, because last year was the first year we went in for that certain type of apparatus. I haven't received those numbers yet, but we're under 1,500 for both every year.
For the year?
Yeah.
So that was for like one grant?
That's for the writing, yes.
Not the
Now,
whole-
it's different if we receive it, it's impossible for me to tell you that number because our award amounts vary so much.
But typically it's like 1% of the award or 0.5%?
Off the top of my head, Mark, I can't remember what percentage it is, but it's a certain percentage up to a certain amount. So we don't
So
exceed.
it could be
we got-
limited for that.
If we got $1 million for a ladder truck, just let's say, and it's 14%, we don't pay that 14%, we only pay up to.
Caps off. All right, thank you. Yep, anything else for the chief?
No, sir.
Okay.
Continue on, chief.
Yeah, the first item on the agenda is allowing me to accept the ODNR Department of Forestry 2024 grant for a total of $11,700 with a 50% match at $5,850.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? None? Okay.
Roll call, Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt? Yes. Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, I would like a motion to allow the fire chief to spend $5,850 from the fire EMS budget on grant award for dual certified firefighter wildland firefighter gear with Blue Line LTD.
I have a question. What was, that's what we just did.
You allowed me to accept the grant.
Oh, no, just
Because it's, right, because there's money out of pocket over 5,000, I felt it was necessary to allow me to accept the grant before I spend it.
Okay, I was under the assumption that that's what that whole motion was for both of those, but okay, I understand.
I'll make a motion to allow fire chief to spend $5,850 from the fire EMS budget on the grant awarded dual certified firefighter gear with Blue Line LTD.
Second.
Any discussion? None? Roll call?
Mrs. Devitt? Yes. Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like a motion to hire Madison Plummer as a volunteer trainee as per the current volunteer agreement and no additional benefits.
Your motion?
I'll make a motion to hire Madison Plummer as a volunteer / trainee as per the current volunteer agreement and no additional benefits.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt?
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have tonight.
Anything for the chief from our trustees? All right. Road cemetery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the month of January, the road department had 693 hours worked, 31 overtime hours on the road department, and that was primarily just ashing, plowing. We had 4 hours cemetery, overtime hours in the cemetery for grave information. Miscellaneous 4 hours we had at the banquet hall for the bathroom, for a total of 732 hours. That was distributed out as 60 hours of administration, 18 hours in road projects, primarily doing stuff with the 2024 road program. 160 hours routine road maintenance. We did a few days of patching, and actually some of those days during the warm weather, we swept about 3 or 4 days. So our focus, because we knew we had limited time, was just mainly on the hills. Because the bottom of the intersections, that anti-skid gets in the intersections, washes down, and sometimes it makes it kind of a safety hazard when people come down and try to stop. They slide on that anti-skid, so we concentrate on that. The hills and the intersections when we're sweeping this type of weather. So we did about 4 days of that. We had 150 hours de-ice and plow, and during that time we used 327 tons of anti-skid, 847 miles. Equipment maintenance and repairs, we had 230 hours. We started working on the cemetery mowers, tractors, the park mowers, tractors. We still have some work to do. We're doing some work on the sweeper currently. Cemetery, we had 80 hours, 1 cremation, burial, and 4 interment burials. Signs, we had 4 hours, we did sign inspection. Shop time, 25 hours, 2 hours at the green. We had a couple banners that the poles came off, we had to fix. 3 hours safety training on safe tool use. Road department used 74.5 gallons of gasoline, 439.3 gallons of diesel fuel, and I didn't see any cemetery park or senior van. You didn't fill up at all?
I didn't fill up at all.
So no fuel consumption for those. That's all I have for the report. If you have any questions, I'll take those now and move on to the agenda items.
Nope, thank you.
Okay. The first item, and I'll go down through these, but I'll kind of give a brief explanation what we're doing to the folks. The first item is I would like to ask the trustees to make a motion to ask the Trumbull County engineers to prepare the bid documents for the Wildwood project. It's a storm sewer project. We've been trying for several years to get a storm sewer in Wildwood. Right now we have a flooding problem down there when it rains real heavy. We're scheduled to pave Wildwood this year. So if the funding source comes through, we have an opportunity to get these storm sewer done. But I want to have the documents ready to go and find out if the funding source comes through. So that way we won't lose any time trying to bid it out. So if we can ask the engineers to go ahead and get the documents ready, as soon as that comes through, then we'll call them up and get the documents and put it out to bid.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, I spoke to the legal counsel today in Akron on the Trumbull County Commissioners ARPA funds, who are saying the legal counsel we use, and she reviewed it with the video that we sent and the photos. I'm pretty sure it falls in the guidelines for ARPA, so she's going to push it towards the commissioners, and then we'll just find out. We ask for the full funding or anything they give us. So, but I think it's a good idea to get that in line so that, you know, we're ready to go once we, like I said, they say you're a go, because you said there's might be a couple of months of permitting.
Yeah, I was telling Dan that this particular stream is a blue line, what they call a blue line stream, which is regulated by the Army Corps of Engineers. And anytime you do work in one of those streams, you're required to get a permit from the Army Corps. The engineer said it takes about 2 months to get a permit. So, and we don't apply for the permit, it'll be the contractor. So that can't even be done until after you award the contract. So.
More hoops to jump through, right?
Yeah, not always.
I'd like to make that motion
Okay.
to ask the Trumbull County engineer to prepare bid documents for the Wildwood Storm Sewer Improvement Project.
I'll second that motion as presented. Is there any additional discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Pereira.
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt.
Yes.
Mr. Suddles.
Yes.
The second item I have is I'd like to ask the trustees to ask the Trumbull County engineer to prepare bid documents for seal coat project to include King's Graves and Sharon Hook Road. So again, this is trying to preempt and save us time. If the 2024 paving program goes through and the contractor decides to do it this year, then we will not be able to do the seal coat because we won't have money. But if they deem that they're not able to get to the project this year, they put it off till next year, then I think we ought to take advantage and use our money we have allocated for paving and do these 2 seal coat projects. The Kings Range part, we still have to sit down with, Hartford, because half the road is theirs. But again, we can ask the commissioners or the engineers to go ahead and prepare the bid documents, have them in place, and then if we have the opportunity to bid it out, then we already have that process complete.
So this doesn't obligate us to anything.
No.
All right,
And remember that the county engineers do this kind of work for the trustees. They don't charge them to do that. This is part of their duties to do these documents. They don't charge the trustees of the township to do these things.
with a motion for
I
that.
like that motion. I'd like to make a motion to ask the Trumbull County engineers to prepare bid documents for the 2024 seal coat program to include Kingsgrave Road and Sharon Hook Road.
Is there a second?
No, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Devitt?
Yes.
Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Okay, the next item, and we discussed this, I think that was May of '23 that we started this endeavor. We need to replace our fuel tanks down to the road and fire department. We initially had a quote from TU Fuel Maintenance Systems. The original quote, I think, was $58,000. That included the removal of the old tanks, installation of the new tanks, all the things that go along with putting the tank in, the 2 tanks, the computer setup, the bollards that go around the tanks, the concrete pad, all of that. So, but at that time, the township was limited to a $50,000 no bid requirement. Since that time, the state of Ohio has changed that, and it's unclear, but we know it's at least 75,000. We thought it might have been 100,000, but we think it's 75,000. So that being said, they're now able to give this job to TU Maintenance Services without going out to bid. TU is actually Dan Trinkus lives in Brookfield. He's been a Brookfield resident for a very long time. He did the gas station down on 62, the new one. He's currently working on one, and if you go through Sharpsville, there used to be a car dealer there that used the gas station. That's his station that he's doing down there. So he's very familiar with this kind of work. So you have, I think I put in your packet the copy of the quote itself. There was a question about the removal of the tanks. I did discuss that with him. He took that off.
Let me see.
So he's gonna drain them and make sure they're empty. That's something we'll have to coordinate when we do this, because there's gonna be a period of time when there's not gonna be any tanks. We don't really have a tank to put them in to pump off of, so we're gonna have to either use credit card, go to the station, or set up something with maybe streamers to get fuel, something like that.
How long would that be? Week? Couple weeks?
I would probably say, I think 2 weeks would be fine, yeah.
I'm concerned about your department, but I'm really concerned about our emergency services. In that time, what are they gonna do?
Well, we've used streamers before, have we not? You guys.
We have not,
Yeah.
we've used gas stations with credit cards.
Do they have we need a 24/7 ability. We have a fire and they go all through the night. So what's that
Well,
backup?
You can use truck roll, you have your,
Just credit cards, or we can just go to truck roll.
Yeah.
That's permissible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no,
Yeah, I just want to make sure we have a plan.
the only thing that and I don't know, we'd have to talk to them about, the only thing that's unclear is the tax.
Right. because they can't tax us, correct?
Well,
On fuel we pay, you would have to, just like we pay now,
Sure.
no, we pay,
some taxes.
I could be wrong, we paid federal and not state, or state and not federal. There's one we don't
Hey,
pay.
you work the mechanics out.
Yeah, so we'll have to work that out, but just so they know, what we'll end up doing is, when we replace the tanks, we'll pump them down, we'll use them until they're empty, and then we'll do the switch over.
So this is several months away, correct?
Yeah, once you get the contract all set in place, he said it's 12 weeks to get the tank, so we're not gonna like do it next week, yeah.
I know this is a broad question, what's the life expectancy of these? Anyway,
I think 30 years is what,
projected. I know it's tough.
we've had these, we moved these from the old station. That was in 97, and I think they were there 10 years, Dan? Do you remember?
That's 37 years.
You're well over 35.
Yeah, we had these, they've been good tanks, I have no.
That's fine, that's something we need, so this would be used for ARPA funds.
Yeah, and I guess, for the residents. So the original one, it shows how much, and he put on here the amount, the things have gone up. Just in the year that we had this quoted, prices continue, especially steel, all that kind of stuff, have gone up. But the original quote was 58,396, and it's 64 now.
64,936.
Yeah, 64,936.91 is the cost.
Did you find out if you could put a fence?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so how are we gonna do?
Well, the fence is gonna be, that's gonna be a separate item, and we're gonna have to do that. So we'll do the fence will hook onto the current fence, and then it'll L over to the pole barn. And we'll put a man gate by the pole barn, and then I'm not sure exactly how he's doing the front, because whether he's gonna have it so you can do the hoses without going back in there, it's gonna be a pain, you have to pull up, this whole thing's got a fence and bollards around it. So there's some way, I think he's gonna be able to loop the nozzles, so the nozzles are outside, and you don't have to go in and crawl in there every time you get any fuel. But any fuel tank that's exposed to the public has to have a fence.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you, Jamie. Is there a motion for what Jamie presented?
I'll make the motion to hire a TNU service station maintenance to install new fuel tanks at the road department using ARPA funding for $64,936.91.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Any discussion?
Jamie, you guys are going to demo the old tanks.
yeah, we're gonna be responsible for it. He's gonna completely air and dry them, however they do that, and make them safe, explosion proof. Then we're gonna take the tanks, we're gonna crush them, because they're steel liners, inside liners, concrete on the outside, steel inside. So, we're gonna crush the concrete, take care of that, and we'll scrap the steel. And we'll tear out the pad and do that work.
The first, second, and a roll call, please.
Okay, we have Shannon with the Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrera?
Yes.
And Mrs. Devitt?
Yes.
Continue on, Jamie.
Okay, this next item, and you can tell me to do it, or you have to make a motion. What my goal here is to set up meetings with utility companies sometime in February, which with each of the companies to try and coordinate their construction and our construction, so that we can try and avoid, we're doing paving 30 roads this year or next year, however it works out. So we want to try to avoid any kind of construction on their part that's scheduled construction or replacement or repairs that dig into roads we just built. So obviously, if they have a water break, like the bottom Grove Street, there's nothing you can do about that. But I think it's a good opportunity to talk to them, give them our 20-year plan. Here's what we're doing in the next 2 years and the next 20 years. Now, what are you doing? Is there any replacements? Aqua's pretty good about doing water line replacements. Trumbull County, not so much. But I think they're looking they're looking at trying to get money to replace the water line, for example, going up Lincoln Street. Well, Lincoln Street's one of those roads on schedule for, that road's getting paved and wedge curved. So if they dig that road up, it's not easy to do wedge curve, by hand. So it also gives the trustees an opportunity to face with the utility companies and ask them about doing certain improvements or expansions or water line, sewer lines, that kind of thing. I think it's a good thing. And I think my personal opinion, whether I'm here or not, is this should be done annually, because things change every year.
No, I think we should have a motion as presented. I do, because it will show the utility companies and we're establishing a base. I really do. I think it's not necessary, but I think it gives them some additional oomph that the trustees are behind and insisting this takes place. So do we have a motion?
Do you want a motion to?
I think so.
Okay. I'll make the motion to let road superintendent set up meetings, hopefully this month, with utility companies to discuss further infrastructure improvements.
Is there a second?
I'll second it since you thought it was appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion?
Jamie, when we have these meetings, you talked before about coming up with some type of policy, some type of pricing structure when they do demos on our roads. Do you think you could do that prior so that we can discuss that potentially?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And I would go so far as to let us know when the trustees will take part in that meeting.
Yes, okay.
Make that.
Yeah, and all three of you understand, if one goes to one meeting, I mean, however you want to
Yeah,
do it.
we could share. No, I think it's that critical. I mean,
We should just see it.
Yeah, some of the stories you shared before with the.
Honestly, on the road superintendent,
No,
they don't
that's
care
what I
about
think.
me,
No,
but if there's
absolutely.
trustees there, there's
I
horsepower.
think this, no, absolutely. So first, second, and any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Mrs. Devitt?
Yes.
Mr. Suddles?
Yes.
Carry on.
The next one, I just wanted, and I'm gonna go ahead and advertise for, and I can kill two birds with one stone here, park and the seasonal workers for the park and the cemetery.
And the rate of pay will be,
Well, we discussed that. I think we have to put the range from 12 to 14, and 12 being minimum amount of knowledge, and 14 being more knowledge.
any hours for those positions?
With the park, the cemetery is gonna be 7 to 3. The park, we can be flexible, but once the hour's set, then that's the hours. We were doing
12 to
9 to 2, 10 to 3, depends, you know what I mean?
I'll shoot you what we did last year with the ban and advertisement that we made.
I wasn't gonna put this in the paper right away, I was gonna use the social media, the signs at the green and here, and do it that way and see what we get.
Okay.
And word of mouth, so if you guys need it, I mean, the park to me, if I was retired, that's the perfect job. If you're doing your work down there, ain't nobody bothering you. You just go down there during the day, you cut, you clean, you do your thing, and nobody bothers you, and it's a perfect job.
You don't think you need a motion for that, Jamie?
No.
All right. So, do you have a letter?
I did, yeah, that first item I had over on it, so. Attached to the letter.
Oh, I thought, all right, so, yeah. I'm sorry. I received a email letter this morning. Gentlemen, we are once again requesting the use of field number 4 at the Brookfield Township Park for upcoming season. We'll provide proof of our insurance renewal prior to the start of the season. Our regular season begins Sunday, June 2nd, 2024, and will continue to the end of July. We will not be utilizing the concession stand during our games. Once the schedule is finalized, we will forward a copy to you. We typically play on Sunday afternoon and evenings, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. I look forward to your response. Mrs. Badachi, I told you I'd read the letter. we're all in.
Thank you.
The sooner your schedule, the better, so that we can match all the schedules together with youth baseball, what have you, so that we don't have any conflicts. We do have the AED station was set up, and we took it down for the season, right?
Yep.
So it'll be there on the outside for access if you need it.
Okay.
So,
How about the handicap restaurant?
Yeah, well, they'll be ready.
I'm not.
so thank you for, using our park and being part of this.
Okay. The, Mark, can I add one more thing? And this is for the residents. We did have a letter from Tabitha, Patrick, I guess was her first name. But we had some issues down in the 62 exchange or some, so all I'm asking is if you have any knowledge of any problems with that interchange at 62 and Bedford or Broadway, let us know so we can pass that on to ODOT. So,
Received it from this individual, I received this afternoon, we forwarded to ODOT, dash cam video of, if they were coming from Hubbard, this person was coming from Hubbard, which is Brookfield, and somebody had come across from Bedford Road going down, and went across to the center, was going the wrong way. There were two different, there was a truck, and there was a sedan, so we forwarded that to ODOT, because if you remember, they asked us, what do you think, from ODOT, and I thought it was confusing for either seniors or somebody that's not familiar with our area. You come down the bottom of the hill, and you didn't know what to do. And that's what older people, I'm not saying they're older, but the tendency to go to, that's what they're used to doing. And to have a head-on crash coming out of Hubbard, and sometimes that traffic, if they catch the light, they don't catch the light, Chestnut Bridge, they're coming fast, so, yeah, that's been forwarded. Did you forward that to ODOT?
I didn't forward the videos yet because I didn't have time to do that yet, so I'll do that tomorrow. I did forward them, I forwarded the letter to the engineer that was running that project, so.
Thank you. That's the only way we can let them know that that's not, I don't know what they can do. They told me that the engineers designed this and it's gonna work. And I said, well, you know,
We set out today, an increased presence of police down there. We'll be sitting back out of the way by the guardrails, so our officers will be longer and more. The longer that's in play down there, they'll subside, even more as people become accustomed to the intersection. But during that time now, our guys should see a lot of
I saw them not
increased presence.
I mentioned that, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
We have some read the code officer report.
I shall do that. Ross's report, Trumbull County building permits issued since last meeting. 1093 Broadway Avenue, that's fire restoration. 1011 State Route 7, it was a roof replacement. Complaints, 708 Boyd Street, 8272 Warren Sharon Road, that's trash and debris. Notice of violation will be sent. 7638 Francis Street is vehicles. 1352 State Line Road is also vehicles. 7325 Sharon Road is the antique store, but the trash and debris behind the building, most of those items have been removed. 8173 Edmund Street, trash and debris in front yard, second notice of violation sent, owner has complied. 47 Lucy Street, dismantled motor vehicles in yard, second notice of violation sent, court case to be filed. 1121 6th Street, ongoing complaint regarding open dumping. Health Department has filed charges. Hearing is scheduled for February 13th. 652 South State Line Road, trash and debris, property owner has complied. 646 State Line Road will be meeting with the owner to try to get exterior maintenance issues resolved. 1000 block of State Route 7 sewage discharge complaint. The Trumbull County Health Department is pursuing. And a little update on the Expo Center. The doors were open there. The owner has secured the opening, the doors, and it's on the west side of the building. So all of that is fun.
Thank you. And we have the van reports.
On van report, we collected $15, 74 miles. And this yes, 5.5 hours.
Volunteer. Volunteer.
Volunteer and Mr. 10 shot an hour. Thank you both.
I mean, it's very good that you came to share. I mean, we know that when you hear real life, it's, we need to do more. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, anything else for Van? All right, we'll go on to the old business, and, we need a motion to enter into a contract with Bass Consulting starting February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025, for the amount of $1,985 per month, for 12 months.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a contract with Basil Consulting starting February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025, for the amount of $1,985 per month for 12 months, per the state contract that I emailed everyone last week.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion as presented, and time for discussion.
Okay, I had presented this last August. Like I said before, I put Dustin from VASA in front of our department heads and the 3 trustees. And also Superintendent Gibson was there talking about kind of the success that they've had. I know it's a lot of money. I know that this is something different. I know that people aren't used to this, but this is bigger than just grant writing, I feel, and I'm going to bust my butt and try to make this a success. We have some projects in mind, hopefully down at the park, hopefully we get sidewalks. He just sent us an email today. It's an innovation center. We'd be partnering with the school, kind of piggybacking off of things that they have already done. We have the opportunity to bring health centers and innovation centers with workforce grants. We could do some training for citizens and the people in the community. Again, this is bigger than just black and white grant writing. And I fully believe in it, and I hope to make it a success. And if it's not, I'll take full responsibility for it.
Any other discussion? Yes, first of all, I want to thank you for the effort and time. It went a little longer than what you said. We reached back to try to get us some assistance in this area. I had some questions that I was at the meetings, and I asked him, it's like anything in grant writing, is there a guarantee we're going to get a grant? No. I mean, I knew the answer to that. There isn't. Our fire department tries to get grants, national grants every year for apparatus. It's a tough road on grant writing. Part of my concern, and the fiscal officer shared that, can we afford, first of all, a contract? I was under understanding at the last meeting of it was going to be in a neighborhood of 50,000 on 24, and that we could do it month to month, which I hate to say I'm skeptical. I'm just a little skeptical, and probably because of what Shannon said is because we've never done it. I'm not saying it's not going to work. And the other part was, anytime you get a grant, most times there's a share. He kind of explained in a way that I didn't understand very well that a lot of them is you can use in-kind services for your part of the share, which I understand from the road department, we've done that. But on some of these grants that they're talking about, I don't know what the in-kind would be on our part. I noticed the school they use them, just share a grant with another school, and our share, the school share was $130,000.
It was a $760,000.
Yeah, it was a good grant, but there's my other concern is, what if, first of all, hopefully he'll get us grants. Second of all, what if he gets us a grant and we can't afford to match? I know we can turn it down, but now we're spending money where we're not sure that we'll be able to fulfill the other end of it, because I don't know where it's gonna come from. We got $100,000, let's just say, maybe let's just go 50. It's gonna come out of our general fund, correct?
Correct.
I've been keeping my eye on the general fund for a long time. Just this year, the end of last year, actually, we started moving up from our balance at the end of the year. We were getting down almost below 200,000 on our carryover. I think we were over 300,000 this year. So those are my concerns. I guess I don't want to sign a check that we can't come up with the full amount. I think you got to think, it's an overused phrase, outside the box. I applaud you for, and believe you me, fail, pass, or whatever, it's not on you, it's on us.
No, I'm just saying.
We're in this as a team. I just have some reservations from my point of view, and I've been chewing on this since we talked to Mr. Powell the last time, and you provided this information that he did. Is there any way we could do 6 months, or would you not be comfortable with 6 months?
The only thing with that is I'm worried that we're gonna start getting going on something and have to stop, but I guess I could go back and ask him, but I think.
One thing, I think what happened is, the grants come up in different cycles.
Yeah, like right now there's a bunch.
Yeah, so we don't want to miss those grant cycles. I mean, your point's well taken, but I think this is an investment in our community. And you're right, your point that one time with general fund, I heard that's over $600,000. You know, we were hoping at one point to use ARPA money for this, and we didn't get like the go ahead to do that. But I think if we are creative in offsetting dollars in maybe other areas, we may be able to chance to do that. For the guy, I think also, one thing to keep in mind, when he goes for grants, and your point's well taken, I mean, when we met with him, you were very polite and to the point. You know, we need to focus on grants that we can afford. You know, we don't want to spending time on, say, hey, there's a grant, we're gonna get it for you, but, oh, you have to come over $100,000. So we're gonna have targeted grants. So I know it's a lot of money, but I think that, this day and age, there are grants out there, and especially if we are able to piggyback with the school and other nearby communities, you know, we could be the lead, say, here's a grant, can you help us, are you interested in going into it? I think you're right, it's uncharted territory, but it's long overdue. So I applaud Shannon for her due diligence. And again, you have to invest money to make money, so I don't look at spending this lightly, but I think it's investment in our community. I think our socioeconomics are at a point where we would qualify for that, so we'll give it a shot.
The other thing was, we, because everyone passed the road levy, we did have funds available. We used to invest those funds in the road department for paving, patching, and everything. So I looked at that, taking a portion of that money and then hopefully investing it. So
That was 40,000, right?
that was 40-ish, yeah.
Just 24 of that.
Yeah, so, but last year we didn't, there's other things that we have saved on. So hopefully we could take these things and invest it, and if it doesn't work, obviously we have the ability to opt out. I don't see, even if we got a grant for $40,000, we still did something. We don't have to hit it $1 million here, $1 million there, but there was grants available that I didn't go after, couldn't go after for the lighting, the LED lighting, that was one. Again, I get emails just because I'm kind of the contact with the school, things that are happening over there that are not just school oriented, it's community oriented, and it will be very beneficial for Brookfield Township. So hopefully this is a positive. Talk to me again in a year, but I will do as much as I can to make this successful.
But to the earlier point, yeah, if this wins or fails, it's not on you, it's on all of us. So, and to get that off the mindset, that's not, we're our team of three, we agree, we disagree, but it's not, so get that out of your mouth, that's not, Dan,
I agree.
It's
I don't want you to think because I'm questioning the grant and I'm questioning you, because I'm
Yeah,
not.
I know.
I love the breath of fresh air of trying things we didn't do before, but it's your money. That's my concern. My concern is, it's not Dan Suttles' money out of his back pocket. It is because I'm a resident. So when we spend your money, I'm maybe overcautious, but I want to make sure that we're not throwing your money away.
All right, we have a first, second, and discussion, and additional discussion. At this point, I'll call for roll call, please.
Okay, Mrs. Tibbetts?
Yes.
Mr. Suttles?
Yes.
And Mr. Pereira?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your due diligence. At this point, is there any new business?
Just, do we have to announce that we're going tomorrow?
No. But we can.
I mean, I didn't know, sorry,
We're-
sorry.
Yeah.
And now it's like in the paper.
You can do that for your
Okay.
trustee comment.
Okay.
Any comments from the public on this time? Just please state your name and.
Yes, my name's Steve Varga. I've been a lifelong resident. Our farm's been in Brookfield since the 1930s. And I do appreciate Jamie getting a local guy to do our work. And I'm not disputing the garage you guys put up. It's, it's needed, but most of the workers didn't even speak English. They weren't paying from this community, if any of you had talked to them. That being said, I firmly believe there's a lot of and it has nothing to do with me, because there's a lot of young contractors in this community that didn't even know about this and probably would have liked a shot to do work in the community. I think it's a good thing to use people from here. That being said, talking about the Wildwood project, I'm at the bottom of the hill. I take all the water from Wildwood and Northview, 2,500 feet down through the farm. That ditch used to be this deep. You can hide a backhoe in it now. There's a 6-inch gas main that's 400 pound of pressure exposed in several spots. So if we're going to continue to force this water down on me, there's going to have to be some repercussions either from my end, or somebody's going to have to, any development you see has retention ponds to slow the speed of the water. We're adding to the speed. We got new roof lines. The driveways people have now are all paved or concrete. The roads are a little wider. So there's a lot more surface area, new homes and all. And granted, the climate has changed. I'm a farmer, and if I go plow a field and I get runoff, the county's in my butt wanting to know why I didn't prevent this. Yet, as a community, we're running the water down there, and it's doing serious damage. I can't keep fences. I can't even get to access the one side of my property because the ditch is deeper than this building. And if we continue to push this water down there, and like I said, I know the climate's changed and we don't get light rains, we get downpours. But we start adding more drainage and running it down there, there's an issue and it needs to be addressed. And like I said, it goes from my place all the way down to Yankee Creek. So,
Jamie, is this concern part of this?
Yeah, that creek, that stream runs down.
Then this project would address this concern.
No, because all we're doing is taking, the piping's going the same exact place it is now, it's just gonna be larger.
The pipe he's talking about, isn't that the one we're replacing or no?
It's across from Gleveland Chetty's. It only runs from Wildwood down past Youngley's house, the dead end past the gate there.
so the reason you're putting more pipe in is because there's more water. So we're putting more water down on me.
But it comes down there anyway, but it doesn't go directly into the piping that's there now. So, yeah, it's all gonna be directed in, there's gonna be increased size of the pipe, so you're gonna get more water in the pipe. Right now, it comes out of the ditch, runs down the road, it comes into like the front yard by Big.
I still get it.
Yeah, you can get it eventually,
Your point
yeah.
is, where would there be a retention? I'm familiar with the area, but not, can't point out, where could there be retention point? That's something you can build into this, or does that have to be on your property?
Well, then again, like I said, I'm all for helping the problem. But I don't want it just to be, I realize a lot of people are saying, well, it's not flooding someone's home, it's just the farmer's field, we don't care. Well, that's understandable. But I mean, if I didn't get Trumbull County Soil and Water involved, okay, I didn't say nothing, I just come to you guys. I mentioned to Dan years before, a year ago or so, and I'm not a problem person.
That's the pipe you showed me that you were just talking about down on the far end?
No, someday you come down, I'll take you
Okay, I
down.
thought you had showed me that, I was determined.
But
We
yeah,
ought to meet you down there and see exactly where you're concerned.
Yeah, now's the time to bring up your concerns.
That way we can address it.
because like I said,
Yeah.
you can't continue to push more water without slowing the flow. It's against the
Now's
law.
the time to talk about it. You came to the right meeting.
You know, it's like I said, I don't like, you know, I don't want to throw up a red flag or nothing, but
No,
this
you're not.
needs addressed. And like I said, I get all the water from Wildwood and Northview. It all comes down and down that way. And
No,
there's a severe amount, especially when you funnel it. I mean, you funnel it across, like I said, all these extra roof lines, roads, garages, drives. There's a lot more water than was there 20 years ago.
So is there room for, again, this is a very odd question at this point, is for retention pond, sounds like you'd have to get permission to put that in, is that too early to even say that?
Well, I mean, like I said, more likely it's probably gonna end up on my property anyhow, a retention pond.
So if we could do it in conjunction with you.
But it would, like I said, it has to be something to flow, to slow the flow.
All right, Jamie, you're,
I think even if we do it individually, we can come down and set something up and visualize it. I know you're open for that, so.
I'm there every day.
thank you. There's another question or concern? State your name, please.
My name's Tim Gladys. Just by way of maybe thinking of things ahead of time, you're probably aware that the commissioners just allocated $150,000 in public funds that are going to match Warren's $150,000 plus and the state's $300,000 plus. It's going to reestablish 2 former bus routes in the city of Warren. There's at least one commissioner that feels like we need to put a 4% sales tax on the ballot. I'm just trying to wonder what benefit that we can see out of bus routes in the northern tier townships, our township, and places where it really doesn't lend itself to public transportation. You talk about 5.75% in state sales tax, 1% in county sales tax. Now we're gonna add another 0.25% possibly. That brings you up to 7%. The highest in the state is Cuyahoga County at 8%. And one of the reasons they're so high is because they funded their transit system the way that one of the commissioners is proposing. What I'm saying is, if that goes on the ballot, that would seem to be a good thing, except that the population base resides in the places that are gonna benefit. We could get outvoted on it, end up paying a 0.25% sales tax and get next to nothing out of benefit.
Maybe
So,
help fund our van.
yeah, maybe, and that would be, you know, I mean, listen to the ridership.
Yeah, no,
That's true. If you listen to the ridership, we've got 3 people. You're not gonna get a bus out here with 3 people. Just be thinking of that among yourselves and go to the Trumbull Township Association, maybe bring it to their attention, because now they've allocated this money, that's gonna last a while. That kicks the can down the road, but this is gonna bubble up at some point. So I think it'd be great if we had the TTA and all of us on the same page telling the commissioners, we really don't want a tax on this ballot. And we got enough taxes now. We gotta find another revenue stream to fund this thing and maybe look at how we fund it for the people we're actually using and not balance it on our backs, whatever we do. So that's all I wanted to just bring up.
And I really believe, of course, it's never gonna get on the ballot with the compromise, the composition of the
Right,
commissioners board as it is
that's
now.
probably true.
But you're right, it's things to look at, and that one is just benefiting more. So, yeah, usually, we do have a commissioner that's on the board now who ran on taking care of the townships.
Exactly.
And mostly northern, because that's where he was from, but I've listened to him, we've gone to the Trumbull Township Association meetings, and he's been present. And I think he's gonna advocate for townships more than any commissioner did, so.
That's great. I mean, I've known Denny for 30 years, and he's living proof that the population centers don't always control, what happens in the county. We have a voice, but we have to use the voice. And I think that we're much stronger if we're ahead of it and in front of it and ahead of the curve and speaking with one voice. That's a lot better than popping up and saying, hey, it's on the ballot now.
No, you're right. Well said. Well said.
That's wrong.
Thank you for sharing that.
Appreciate it.
Any additional public comments? Dave,
Amanda
rank and
Murphy.
serial number.
Amanda Murphy from the library, the manager there, and it started out with my children's library and I trying to talk about how to do a touch a truck this summer with the library too. We want to do a block party on River Street with the cooperation and assistance from the township and other businesses and organizations in the community. So.
Will Mrs. Claus be there?
Not in her, official Mrs. Claus duties at that time, and they'd be probably running around with a chicken with their head cut off.
Yeah, potential dates.
Yes, June 22nd, Saturday, and we're thinking from like maybe 11 to 4. I'm gonna be going to the Methodist Church Council meeting on Thursday to discuss it with them too. We're in the very early planning stages, like we're trying to get our, get a presenter for the morning at 11, looking possibly a musician in the afternoon. But we would like to block off part of Grove Street, maybe and take it onto the green. I have big ideas, I don't know what's feasible.
Yeah, we talked to, Amanda reached out, and we have talked about this kind of back and forth, so I reached out to Jamie and the possibility of closing down the road. Obviously, we let people know.
Especially on Saturday. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about.
And,
Yeah, we
I
just
was
talked
thinking
about-
like,
yeah, right.
from, starting after the original library entrance close to it, so people can come into the library, and still turn around.
Yeah, we would like to have maybe some, like a fire truck, police, and all that kind of stuff. Another good event.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think that would like to work with. Discuss
Very
it.
good. Be nice of that, thank you. Any additional, comments? Trustee comments?
Dan had mentioned earlier, and Mark, about the camera and the recording. Give us, we're gonna be gone in Columbus, give us a couple days, give me a couple days on the back end of this, to put it up on the website. So just know it'll be there, just give me a couple days to get it done. We're gonna be traveling a little bit. And I think that's what I have.
Yeah, just build on that a little. We tried to make the announcement. The pros about having the webcam, and it's on YouTube. And so people that can't make it here can see the government in action. The con is we can't get feedback from that group. That's what kind of stopped us from doing it before. When we did Zoom meetings during COVID, we had that. We had that ability. The government doesn't allow us to hold those meetings as meetings with us not being in attendance. But this is a step in the right direction. The other thing that I used to think that we couldn't do it because it has to be ADA compliant, and YouTube is. If you go on YouTube and you click it, because I did it on Bezettas, everything we're saying will also be captioned. So that ability is there. I think it's a good thing. I know, Tim, you had brought it up. We discussed it months ago. One of the things I wanted to do from the beginning is get more people involved in what we do. And knowing what we do, other than, thank God we have a monthly newspaper that writes about Brookfield almost exclusively. Because the other papers anymore, the Sharon Herald and the Warren Tribune, unless something really bad's going on, they're not here. And they have covered some good things, the Tribune has. But the Herald's kind of written us off, so I'm glad we're doing that. We're going to do a chance that we're probably not this month, but next, I'd like to do talk with a trustee on a Saturday again. It'll be iffy on the weather, so maybe if we use touch base, use the library, and then get them outside and go in different communities. I want to keep that up. A couple things I'd like to do this year that we received a grant several years ago for trash pickup. We have the pickers, we have the vests, we have everything you could think of to have these, and we had a couple of them. But I think we should go out and do a few of those this year. And so if you have a community that says, well, think about us, we can set it up, get some volunteers. It's pretty successful. We did it a few times, so that's on the radar. There will be hot.
Only thing I have to thank you for coming and the candidate in person. Yeah, we need a meeting date for our interviews for police chief. Thursday and Friday next week. We need to get a couple of possibilities, and we'll reach out to the candidate to see if he works for the day. So we're here.
So you're talking during the week?
Yes. Give us a couple of possibilities, and then we'll see what works for that individual as well, so.
Yeah, we could do during the day, if not, make it work.
What are you shooting at?
13th or 14th.
Either one.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you want to just throw them both out there?
Yeah.
So you're, all right.
Will they be during the day?
Potentially, yeah. All right, do I have a motion for adjournment? So moved. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.